The Sony Xperia X I already showed you shortly on the Mobile World Congress some months ago, but now the final product has arrived. I have way more detailed info for you. I have the results of the battery runtime tests and the benchmarks and way more info in this one here. But let's first start with the specifications for those who don't remind all of that because it's a month ago. First of all, of course, screen. It's 5-inch or 4.96-inch to be precise, 110 millimeters. You have full HD resolution, so that's 1080 by 1920 pixels. So we're coming to a density, a sharpness of 305 pixels per square millimeter or 444 ppi. That's quite all right. And I already measured the brightness of the display, and in the middle it's 480 nits. That's okay, that's 44% above the average. But you have to know that this is in sunshine only, because here the front sensor is measuring how the brightness of your surrounding is happening, and if it's measuring, it's very bright, you have sunlight, for example, here on the display, then it's giving the sun boost up to 480. In regular situations like this one, it's a little bit below, but as you can see here, totally enough, everything in the green here with that monitor. And you will have detected, I guess, that little thing over here. You can remove that, but I left it because this is making you know that the NFC sensor is now on the front. As you remind, normally it's on the back side, and if you want to pay, you go like that. You now have to put your phone like this, and I don't find that very comfortable, especially you do not see what's happening on the screen. It's kind of a security. You do not know what's really going on there, sure. But let's think of situations where you have to tap something, you do not see that. So I do not find that solution a good one, but it's like that. Second, you should know is you have here, of course, a mechanical two-step trigger for the camera. This is on/off standby with that fingerprint reader. And by the way, that's responsible for the little bit brighter edge over here compared to the Xperia XA. Remember, I found that very sexy, and it's way cheaper than the X, but nevertheless, the X has the brighter edges here because of that fingerprint sensor that needs its space over here. So that's the resolution of that riddle. You have, it's okay, I guess, for my opinion at least, with 5-inch. It's big enough. Nevertheless, the thumb has no problems to reach the opposite corner because you have just 69 millimeters here in width by 154 grams. So because of that aluminum backside, it's not a unibody, it's not going around the edges here. This edge beside here is totally separately. But this is aluminum here, so you're coming to that a little bit higher weight. So it's okay for handling, but it's not that solid. If you want to look at this little test over here, you see these black dots on several places here around the screen. I'm not pressing very hard, just so slightly, and you may hear these little noises in the background, like this here. So it's not that solid. It doesn't mean that it has to damage the pixels below, because the glass on the front side is pressing on these pixels and subpixels, but you all know how it's happening if you have that in the backside of your trousers or whatever, and sitting down and you're sitting on the phone. So you have to be a little bit careful with the Xperia X. I guess I'm a little bit disappointed of that on the price of, at least here in Germany, Europe, we have 599 euros including tax. So it's not a cheap one, not a mid-class, it's a flagship phone. So I have expected a little more stability concerning this. Good news coming from the processor is, as you might remind, the Snapdragon 650, 6 cores, 1.4 and 1.8 gigahertz, and the Adreno 510 graphics module, plus 2 GB of RAM, so not the biggest or the best combination. Nevertheless, in the runtime test, in the benchmark tests, all overall, more than 50 gathered values, 27% above the average. That's a really good result, because it's the same, for example, like the Nexus 6P that has the Snapdragon 810 processor. So it's totally okay in my opinion. And you have on that side here, I can't open because the phone would start then anew, and that takes quite a while. You have here a combination slot with a nano SIM plus micro SD card, officially up to 200 GB, but it's supporting SDXC, so you should be able to use SD cards up to 2 TB as soon as they are available. Internal memory 32, leaving a net memory capacity of 17.9 GB. That's the value you should calculate with. It's totally okay. You have a 4G and dual HSPA Wi-Fi N, including 5 GHz, but not Wi-Fi AC. I guess you should know that. And interesting also here on the headphone jack, you have audio high resolution for better, or at least, let's knock on wood, I hope, a better audio sound. And something special I want to show you in a separate video, because this one is the first phone I'm having on the table supporting LDAC. That's a new technology by Sony, and they are aiming to send over Bluetooth 3 times the capacity of data like regular. You know that A2DP profile, you will, for example, if you use a Bluetooth speaker, you have up to 328 kilobit per second over that one. And Sony is saying that with LDAC, they're raising this up to 990 kilobit per second, so better audio quality. We will listen to that as soon as I can get a LDAC speaker, so give me some days for that. A separate video. Most of all, of course, the battery runtime, because it's fixed, is built in. It has 2620 milliamps, not that much, but nevertheless, it made 617 minutes in the runtime test. That's 28% above the average. So a really good result. Even intense users should come through the day, and regular users maybe even 2 days without recharging. So totally okay. But the best is that Sony did a cooperation with a company called Qnovo, and they are aiming that they are charging the battery very carefully, because they're already measuring some or tons of data permanently. So it's not too high voltage and ampere and whatever. And that will endure that the battery capacity will stay longer twice at a time. You know, normally you say, okay, one battery rechargeable about 1,000 times. So double that, you are at 2,000. And especially you're not, so that's making normally some 5 years or something. But in case you are using it very intensely and everyday charging, you will have at least for 2 years almost the same capacity, while others do have, after let's say 500 charging times, up to 80% of the original battery capacity only. And that's even worse, at least Qnovo is stating that if you're having a phone with a quick charge, that's going up to, after 100 charges, you are below 80% of the original capacity. At least Qnovo is telling that. I have to check that. If you have any knowledge about that topic, I would be pleased if you would leave in the comments what you know about that topic and the capacity, reducing the capacity from the charging. So I find that very astonishing. Of course, you will find way more, and especially stated information about that topic in the final test, like always, as text only, not as video, on my website mobiwatch.net. But give me some 1 or 2 weeks for that, because this is a topic I have to check first, because I'm not a battery engineer or something. I have to ask the experts concerning this, if this is really true what Qnovo and Sony are telling us here. Yeah, well, that's enough, I hope, for not quick, but a complex second view onto the Sony Xperia X. It's available now for 599 euros, including tax. Prices may vary depending on your country. Thanks for watching, take care, and bye.